Good afternoon, judges, fellow debaters, audience. Welcome to today's debate. The motion before the House is screen time should be an essential part of early childhood education. This mood centers on the role of digital technology in the learning process of young children, typically aged 3 years. It asks us to consider whether using screens like tablets, computers, and interactive whiteboards should be a core component of how children learn, rather than just an occasional tool. So the debate is about balance. Should screen time be essential or should it remain a supplementary tool alongside traditional play-based learning? With us today, we have two teams. The proposing team who will argue in favor of the moot and the opposing team who will argue against it. Each speaker will have time to present their argument, followed by rebuttals and closing statements. I will ensure that all speakers adhere to the time limit and stay on the topic. On the proposing team, we have first speaker, Ms. Abibi Gravzandi and Ms. Williams. On the opposing team, we have first speaker, Ms. Varshini, and second speaker, Ms. Lisa. We will now begin with our first speaker of the proposing team, Ms. Abibi Gravzandi, who will argue in favor of the moot. Ms. Gravzandi, your time starts now.
Allow me to paint you a picture of something that you may have done in the past. It's the start of a new topic. The children come in, ready to learn, with bright smiles and high energy. You reach for your chalk or your whiteboard marker, but this time, instead of saying, take out your exercise book, you say, let's watch a short video on how plants grow, or let's use a tablet to draw your favorite animal. Suddenly, the classroom is buzzing with excitement. Eyes light up as children are ready to explore, learn, and create using technology. With that being said, honorable judges, formidable opponents, keen timekeeper, and attentive audience, welcome to this debate on the moot. Screen time should be an essential part of early childhood education. As the proposing team, we firmly support this statement and will defend our policy, which is digital devices and interactive media should play a vital role in the teaching and learning process for young children as they provide meaningful opportunities for cognitive, social, and emotional development. And we will defend our policy through the following two key points. Point one, screen time, when used purposefully, boosts engagement and concentration. Two, screen time supports differentiated and inclusive learning for diverse learners. But before we continue, allow me to define the key terms in this discussion. Screen time. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, screen time is the amount of time someone spends looking at an electronic device with a screen, such as a computer or a television. Essential. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, that means something that's absolutely necessary or needed. Now, according to the University of the West Indies, early childhood is defined as the period of a child's development from birth to 8 years old. And UNESCO defines education as a process by which society deliberately transmits their accumulated information, knowledge, understanding, attitudes, values, skills, and competencies across generations. It involves communication designed to bring about learning. Therefore, we can conclude that early childhood education is a child's accumulation of information, knowledge, understanding, attitudes, values, and skills from birth to 8 years old. Our first point, screen time enhances learning through interactive and visual engagement. Now, the Ministry of Education Guyana, like many other educational systems globally, has recognized the role of educational media in fostering creativity, curiosity, and comprehension. Videos, story apps, interactive phonics games, and drawing tools are all examples of screen-based learning that allows children to visualize concepts, practice skills, and receive immediate feedback. For example, in 2021, not so long ago, the Ministry of Education states that screen time, when developmentally appropriate and guided by an adult, can foster early numeracy, literacy, and life skills through interactive and engaging digital content. As such, screen time, when guided and purposeful, can be essential for early childhood education. Similarly, a study by the American Academy of Pediatrics found that high quality screen content can support language development and even problem solving skills, especially when guided by a teacher. For example, let's consider a nursery classroom using a smart board to teach shapes. Children not only see the shapes, they can trace the shape, watch real world examples, and even sing along to the shape songs. This multi-sensory approach strengthens learning and retention. You may ask, isn't screen time just passive watching? No, not at all. Properly integrated into the curriculum, screen time becomes an active, structured learning tool. And this is where educators like you, my dear opposition, and us make the difference. You might wonder, why do we emphasize on early childhood education? Now, that is because the opposition may generalize screen time as harmful and based on extreme cases or home usage. But what we are advocating for is controlled, intentional, and educational use in a classroom setting, guided by professionals who understand child development. So, honorable judges, ponder on this. Are we preparing children for the world of yesterday or the world of today and tomorrow? If the world they are growing up in is digital, then our classrooms must reflect that reality while still being balanced and developmentally appropriate. We urge the opposition to reflect not just on their own experiences, but on what is best for today's learners. Supporting this moot does not mean at any point in time abandoning traditional teaching. It means we must enrich it. Thank you. Ms. Omwati?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Bibi, for those points. Now we will move to the first speaker of the opposing team, Ms. Vaishni. The floor is now yours to make your opening statement.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow debaters, and my respected proponents, good day and welcome. I am the first speaker for the opposition, and we stand firmly against the moot that screen time should be an essential part of early childhood education. Now, while we acknowledge the role of technology in modern day life, we believe that screen time is not essential for young learners, and worse, it may be actively harmful during this formative stage. Now, let us begin by clarifying some key terms to ensure that we are all on the same page. Screen time refers to the time spent using devices such as tablets, smartphones, televisions, and computers, both for entertainment and educational purposes. Essential means something that is absolutely necessary or indispensable. Early childhood education refers to structured educational experiences provided to children from birth to around 8 years old, a period which is widely recognized as the foundation for lifelong development. Now, our policy is that early childhood education should prioritize hands-on learning, sensory exploration, physical play, emotional bonding, and social interaction. These are the building blocks for healthy child development. While technology can serve as a supplement for older students, we reject the notion that screen time is necessary or even beneficial for children in the early years. Screen time can negatively affect brain development. The early years of life, especially from birth to age 5, are a crucial period of rapid brain development. During this time, a child's brain is forming billions of connections through direct interaction with the real world. Research by Smith, Mittal, and Decker, 2021, supports a neuroconstructivist approach which emphasizes that development happens in real-life experiences, not passive screen viewing. Their findings show that overexposure to screen interferes with the growth of key cognitive abilities, including memory, attention, and problem solving. Why? Because screens lack the multisensory input that children need. A screen cannot replicate the texture of sand, the smell of Play-Doh, or the eye contact that is shared during play. It cannot respond in real life with the nuance and empathy of a human adult. When children are placed in front of screen for long periods, they miss out on the experiences that literally builds their brains. Screen time delays language development. Language is not just taught, it is lived. It develops through connections, storytelling, and back and forth dialogue. Unfortunately, screens do not support this kind of rich interaction. Karani et al. 2022 conducted a scoping review and found that children exposed to high levels of screen time tend to show slower acquisitions of vocab and delayed speech milestones. Why? Because screens talk to children, not with them. There is no true give and take, no spontaneous questions, no emotional nuance. Even so-called educational programs do not replace the learning that occurs when a child interacts with a parent, a teacher, or their peer. Moreover, the time that children spend on screens, that is the less time that they spend engaging in crucial language building activities, like singing, pretend play, reading aloud, and asking questions. Now, screen time harms emotional development. In early childhood, children begin learning how to manage their emotions, develop empathy, and build these relationships. These are foundations of social emotional intelligence, and they require real human interaction. Storup and Liberot 2023 found that excessive screen use is associated with social withdrawal, reduced empathy, and difficulty forming genuine connections. Why? Because screens isolate. They create one-way interaction, and they can stimulate the brain, overstimulate the brain, making it harder for children to regulate their emotions or handle frustration. Children learn emotional regulation by watching adults model it, by practicing it in real situations, like taking turns, resolving conflicts, and expressing feelings. These skills are not developed through watching cartoons or tapping on apps. In fact, over-reliance on these screens can rob children of the chance to engage meaningfully with the world around them. To further support our position, my second speaker will present our next argument, that screen time reduces children's attention spans. This is a particularly concerning issue, especially as attention is a foundation for all learning. The shorter a child's attention span, the harder it is for them to stay focused, solve problems, and develop self-discipline, all of which are vital for success in school and their life. Now, in conclusion, we urge you to consider the overwhelming evidence. Screen time is not essential. It is risky. It threatens brain development, slows language acquisition, and undermines social emotional learning. What young children need most are human connections, active play, exploration, and conversation. Let us be wise. Let us not replace what works with what's convenient. Instead of pushing screens into the most sensitive stages of development, let us invest in what truly shapes capable, curious, and caring human beings. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Varshini, for that wonderful opening speech. There we had Miss Varshini from the first speaker of the opposing team, giving us her insight on the mood. We will now be moving to our second speaker of the proposing team. I will now invite Miss Williams to give us her knowledge, share her knowledge with us, going in favor of the mood. Miss Williams, your time starts now.
Good afternoon, Madam Chairperson, honorable judges, worthy and esteemed audience. As the second speaker of the proposing team, I rise with conviction to reinforce our support for the moot, which states, and I quote, screen time should be an essential part of early childhood education. Our first speaker laid the groundwork by showing how screen time, when used appropriately, enhances early literacy and numeracy, improves engagement, and builds digital readiness in young learners. These are not just conveniences, they are necessities in today's modern learning environment. Permit me to expand our case by presenting our second key point, which states screen time supports differentiated and inclusive learning for diverse learners, making education more equitable and effective for all. Esteemed audience, we must face a key reality that no two children in a classroom learn the same way. Think about it. Some are visual learners, others are auditory, some need extra time or repetition, some are nonverbal, physically challenged, or learning differences like dyslexia or ADHD. Therefore, here is where screen time becomes an essential tool. Educational apps and digital platforms like Khan Academy Kids, Starfall, and ABC Mouse, just to name a few, allow for personalized learning paths. A struggling child can receive more practice while an advanced learner is challenged further. This level of differentiation is extremely difficult to achieve using only traditional paper-based instruction. Even more importantly, screen time supports inclusive education. Children with disabilities, whether physical, cognitive, or language-based, are often left behind in conventional classrooms. But with digital tools, they are brought into learning experience. For example, a child with autism can benefit from structured, repeatable instructions through a screen time. A child with speech delays can communicate using touch-based apps or visuals. A child with limited mobility can explore learning materials through interactive media they can control independently. This is not convenience, it is empowerment. Don't believe me? Allow me to clear up any doubts you may have as we turn to the research work of Dr. Lev Vygotsky, a prominent educational therapist. According to Dr. Vygotsky, he emphasized that importance of scaffolding, that is, providing the right level of support to help a child reach their next stage of development. Screen time, when used properly, acts as a form of digital scaffolding. It meets each child where they are and guides them forward, whether through interactive stories, visual math games, or language support tools. Esteemed judge and audience, the opposing team may want you to believe that screen time is harmful. It causes children to become addicted or socially isolated. While this may seem reasonable on the surface, it is generalization. We, the proposing team, are not defending passive or excessive screen use, but rather we are strongly advocating for structured, educational, and purposeful screen time that is guided by teachers. When used as part of a balanced routine, screen time is not a threat, it is a resource. Let us be clear. Screen time should not replace physical play or human interaction, but it must be integrated with them to strengthen learning for every child. In conclusion, Respected audience, if we believe that every child has the right to learn and that classrooms must reflect equity and inclusion, then we must accept the digital tools are no longer optional, they are essential. I end by affirming a vital policy recommendation from the National Association of the Education of Young Children, NAEYC, which states digital devices and interactive media should play a vital role in the teaching and learning process for young children as they provide meaningful opportunities for cognitive, social, and emotional development. With this, I proudly affirm that screen time should be an essential part of early childhood education. Thank you.
Let's take a break and then we come back. Miss Lisa's gonna go, right? Because
Thank you, Miss Williams. There we had it, ladies and gentlemen. The second speaker of our proposing team arguing in favor of the moot. Now we will have the second speaker of the opposing team who will argue against the moot. I now hand you over to Miss Lisa. Miss Lisa, your time starts now.
Impartial moderator, colleagues of the proposing team, and my enthusiastic team member, audience all, good day. I am Lisa Luknat, the second speaker of the opposition team, opposing the motion that screen time should be an essential element in early childhood education. I affirm that priority for interactive learning experiences is crucial for healthy development of a child, as stated by our fourth opposing speaker. Research has indicated that excessive screen time negatively affects the cognitive, social, and emotional areas of children. Pangetti, Madan, and Raghunathan, 2023. Though screens can offer educational content, they often do not have the interactive elements necessary for young learners to fully commit and develop critical skills. Interactive learning through play and face-to-face promotes essential cognitive capacities such as problem solving and critical thinking. Children learn better when they actively participate in their education rather than passively consuming content via screens. This commitment is vital because it encourages exploration and supports collaboration with peers, which are fundamental for social development. The absence of these interactive experiences are often replaced by screens. Screen time can hinder children's ability to fully engage with their environment and their peers. In addition, research has indicated that screen time has a negative impact on attention. Children with excessive screen content tend to present a shorter duration for attention, fighting to focus on tasks that requires sustained efforts. Bornota and McManus and Karin Bowl 2024. On the other hand, interactive learning environments encourages children to pay attention longer by capturing their interests. Capturing their interests through tangible activities that stimulate their imagination and curiosity. In conclusion, advocacy for screen time is an essential component of the early childhood education, yet it neglects the long-term significant advantage of active and interactive learning approaches. The cognitive, social, and emotional skills fueled by face-to-face engagement are irreplaceable, and the priority of screens could rather lead to harmful results in the duration of attention and global development. Therefore, to promote a generation of learners capable of critical thinking and effective communication, We must prioritize traditional educational methodologies in relation to approaches based on screen time in early childhood education. Thank you.
There we had it. Both teams made their arguments. I must say thank you to both teams for their arguments. I must appreciate the teams. Both teams has made strong grounds towards the mood. Screen time should be an essential part of early childhood education. We will now break for about 5 minutes so that each team can prepare for their rebuttal. And when we come back, we will have the rebuttal round. Okay, dear ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, fellow debaters, welcome back. We will now have the rebuttal round. We are wrapping things up. This is the final round of the debate. Our debaters are going to make their last stands on their grounds, the proposing team and the opposing team. I will now call on the first speaker of the proposing team to give her final grounds on the moot. Ms. Abibi Grzandi, your time starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed judges, fellow debaters, I thank the opposition speakers for raising important points. However, they represent only one side of the conversation. Let me begin by reframing their concerns. This debate is not about the excessive or unsupervised use of screens. This is about whether screen time, when used purposefully and mindfully, can be an essential part of early childhood education. And we say it can. The opposing argues screens lack multisensory input, but modern education apps simulate not only sight, but sound and often include voice prompts, interactive elements, and responsive feedback. Children don't just watch, they engage. As for brain development, research also shows that screen time, when combined with adult interaction, improves memory recall and problem solving, as I would have mentioned earlier. My dearest first speaker of the opposition, why do you generalize our children? Let us begin by acknowledging the simple truth. Not all children have the same reality. Some lack access to books, structured play, emotionally stable environments. For these children, educational screen time is not only a stimulation, but an exposure to the connection to the wider world, something they might not otherwise experience. The little screen time that they have exposure to helps them greatly. Secondly, language development is also nurtured by screen time. Reading aloud does not always require physical books. Videos with rich narration and animations bring stories to life. Songs, rhymes, and dialogue help children observe vocabulary and even learn sentence structure. And let's not forget emotional development. Many screen-based programs teach emotions, kindness, conflict resolution, and behavior modeling. In many cases, screen guide children to express feelings. In closure, now if screen times were so harmful and truly harmful, then why would the Ministry of Education Guyana create a platform like the Learning Channel? This channel proves that our educational system values digital resources when we use them appropriately. Thank you.
Okay, thank you there, Ms. Abibi. There we had the first speaker of the proposing team giving her final remarks in favor of the moot. We will now have the first speaker of the opposing team giving her final remarks against the moot. I will now call on Ms. Ms. Varshini to give her remarks. Your time starts now.
Gentlemen, honorable proponents, thank you for the opportunity to respond. Now, we've listened carefully to the proposition's case. They have painted a very lovely picture. Children excited, classrooms buzzing, tablets glowing. But behind this glossy image lies a deeper truth that we cannot ignore. Let us take a closer look to what they are really advocating. Screen time supports differentiated and inclusive learning. Now, that is a noble goal, but a flawed method. The proposing team argues that screens are inclusive, that they support children with autism, ADHD, or speech delays. And yes, technology can play a supportive role, but the key word there is supportive, not essential. True inclusive does not begin with a device, it begins with a trained, empathetic teacher, a responsive environment, and interaction. No screen can replace the richness of human connection, especially for children with emotional or communication challenges. Children with learning differences benefit from structured routine, repetition, movement, and emotional safety, none of which can be fully delivered through a screen. Even the most interactive one cannot deliver those stuff. Let me be clear, technology is a tool, it is not a teacher. They ask, are we preparing children for the world of today? Yes, we are. But preparing children for a digital world does not mean immersing them in digital devices from infancy. In fact, the best preparation for future technology use is a strong foundational development, attention, memory, language, and emotional intelligence, which come from the real world, not the screen world. If we want children to thrive in tomorrow's world, we must give them the tool that lasts a lifetime, not just access to apps, but the ability for them to think, feel, connect, and grow. In conclusion now, the proposition's arguments sound so reasonable in theory, but they overlook the developmental reality. Early childhood is not the time to make screen time essential. It is a time to build brains, hearts, and relationships. And that does not happen on a tablet. We are not anti-technology, we are pro-child. And we believe that the best foundation we can give our children is one built on human interaction, not digital substitution. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us not be swayed by glowing screens and catchy songs. Let us stand for what truly matters in early childhood education. We restate our position with confidence. Screen time should not be an essential part of early childhood education. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Varshini, for your final remarks there. Ladies and gentlemen, that there we had the rebuttal from both teams. Thank you to both teams for well thought out arguments. This concludes our debate on screen time should be an essential part of early childhood education. The floor is now open for judges' comments.
Ms. Varshni, you can end it now. I think that's it now.